get now to Senator Tom Coburn, who's been patiently standing by. He's, of course, a Republican senator for Oklahoma. I want to get his take on President Obama's speech, which, of course, as we mentioned, is going to be at 7 p.m. tonight. And Senator Coburn, you and I have talked quite a bit about the budget deficit. I know you were on the Gang of Six, and you were not happy. You voted actually against ultimately the debt deal. Overall, here in the job speech and what we are hearing, the details we're hearing from it, is this a plan from Obama that you can support?
Well, first of all, I don't know all the details of it, Betty Liu, but
the details that are in the press right now.
Well, I can't say until I look at it. We have a couple of problems with what we're doing. One is we still have about $350 billion a year in waste and duplication and fraud in the federal government that we're not even addressing. That isn't having any positive multiplier effect on the economy. We ought to be utilizing that. There's no question I will support him in trying to create any type of jobs package that will effectively create opportunity. But the way to do that really isn't through the government. The way to do that is to create confidence and certainty on the part of the private capital that can be invested to create jobs and give people confidence about the future. And that's a problem both from the White House and from the behavior of Congress, that we haven't acted in appropriate ways to create that confidence. So I will have to look at it in total and see what the costs are and see what. I would also make one other point that they're talking about. They're talking about, again, a payroll tax avoidance, but we need to be very careful with that, because the $105 billion for this year in terms of the payroll tax avoidance that we had, we didn't drop down any of the IOUs on the Social Security. So what we actually did is add $105 billion to the deficit and not offset any of the Social Security. So what we're doing is fundamentally changing Social Security from what it was planned to be, which was a trust fund, into a government-run program like Medicare.
Okay, but I mean, I think, one of the last vestiges of what we're hearing about Obama's plan is that he is going to be implementing, it's not exactly the same thing, but this new payroll tax cut for small businesses. But, I want to get bigger picture, though, Senator Coburn, which is overall, though, I mean, what is the break-off point for you? What is the line in the sand when you hear his speech tonight that's going to say to you whether or not you're going to support it or not? What is it exactly?
Well, I don't think we should be moving forward with any plan till we do the easy stuff, which nobody wants to do up here. When in fact you have the GAO put out a report on duplication that at a minimum has $100 billion worth of duplication, and the Congress hadn't done anything on that. When we know we've had 5,000 pages of new regulation that have cost about $140 billion into the economy this year, and nobody's doing anything on that. We keep doing the wrong things rather than the right things. So I'm all for a job stimulation program, but let's quit doing the things that hurt us at the same time. They're not hard to do, but the recalcitrant careerists in Washington don't want to make those easy changes because every one of these little simple duplications have a constituency. So what I will tell you is I will look at what the president says. If it makes sense, then I will work to support it, but I also will work to pay for it by eliminating a lot of the stuff that is crazy that we're spending money on that we shouldn't be spending money on.
So is it
what I want us to do is to go ahead.
Well, is it entitlement spending? I want to cut through.
No, I just told you there's $350 billion a year in the federal government, not an entitlement other than $100 billion worth of fraud in health care. So $250 billion out of the $1 trillion we spend in discretionary that's either fraud, duplication, waste, or incompetence. So why would we continue to spend that money of our kids' future, because we're certainly not paying for it, we're borrowing the money? Why would we continue to spend that money when we should be eliminating it and then fixing these other problems?
But Senator Coburn, it sounds like, it sounds as if you're saying that this jobs plan is going to be a bargaining chip for other measures to be passed that you want passed.
Well, hey, look, no, there's no question. I can't make the jobs deal a bargaining chip. It won't be. I'm going to keep being a call to the wilderness to say we're wasting all this money every year and nobody up here is eliminating. We're getting ready to spend more. I think the number's $300 billion over the next year on a jobs plan, and we won't eliminate the $350 billion worth of money that's going down the tubes that's not helping anybody today. And so we're going to both borrow $300 billion and continue to waste $350 billion. Why would the American people trust us? Why would they have any confidence in either the president or us if we don't address these critical issues at a time when we're borrowing $1.3 to $1.4 trillion a year, and we're undermining the future of our kids?
Senator,
why would we do that?
Okay, well, let me talk about another specific then, right? Outside of Obama's speech, the super committee to cut the deficit, the $1.5 trillion, right? That's their goal. They're meeting today, I believe. And yesterday we talked to Congressman Chris Van Hollen. I think we have the sound there from what. Let's just roll it.
It's certainly a plan that we can support from the details that I know about it. We're going to have to work with our Republican colleagues to see how much of this we can get passed. I would hope that they would agree with us and with the president that we need to make that infrastructure investment.
Okay, so he's talking about Obama's speech, but the reason why I wanted to bring him up is that, he's a member of this 12-member super committee, Senator Coburn. So, again, as I mentioned, you voted against this debt ceiling. So what hopes do you have? How high hopes do you have?
Well,
go ahead.
I have great hopes that they'll do something because our future. But just remember, Betty Liu, $1.5 trillion doesn't begin to solve the big problems in front of this country. So what we passed in August, we set a standard for $1.5 trillion, but it won't solve our problems. And it won't solve our financing problems in terms of our debt, especially as the world hits a debt wall of $12 trillion in demand about July of next year.
But it's a start.
I'm hopeful it's a start. It'll buy us a little bit of time, but it won't get us back our rating until we get $4 to $5 trillion down to the $9 trillion over the next 10 years that we're going to have to get.
Senator Coburn, what will tell you that they're starting off on the right foot? Just quickly, tell me.
Well, I think if they'll actually make some concessions on some entitlement programs. Senator Lieberman and I put some programs together. We're getting ready to come out with a Social Security program that's bipartisan, that has some I'll let you go because I know your music's running.
All right, you are well trained in television. Senator Coburn, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.